Wait, I kept seeing this in my fucking recommendations. Oh, it's a Sleepy clip. Oh, yeah, we'll definitely watch it then. Wait, is this... Hold up. I have not seen the clip. Is this going to be the rant about how old graphics were made to be run on CRTs? I'm almost certain this is what this is.
Oh yeah, I'll kind of do the SparkNotes version. Old games were not okay. I think modern retro games and virtual console has set people into believing that games look a certain way.
Yep. Okay. Fucking knew it. Yep. Yeah. Okay. There is a popular. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. There is a Twitter thread that goes around every so often. Every so often every so often this fucking thread goes around. Let's see if we can find one of the full discussions. I'm not gonna be able to find the full discussion now, am I? But you'll find lots of discussions about how games, like, all of these old games were never meant to be played on LCDs. They were never designed with pixels, all of this sort of stuff.
Retro games look a certain way. They did not look like that back in the day because of the screens. Screens did things to sprites that made them appear certain ways. No CRT, no 15 FPS, yeah. CRT is a lot more quick. It is super cool how stuff used to appear, and it fucking sucks ass how bad things look nowadays because it's like not properly preserved. And I think also people have been kind of psyoped into thinking like, oh, well, it's supposed to look this way. But it's like, I don't think that's how it was designed.
So she's bought into the cope. This is actually how they were designed. So there's this weird cope about CRTs that art was never designed to be pixel perfect. It actually was. That is actually how the art was made. It was designed to be pixel perfect. It's just the tech at the time, CRTs, was able to do things with it that made those lower quality pixel perfect drawings look considerably more detailed because of the way they would blend colors together. I really wish I could find this thread. But I've seen this discussion hundreds of times, and every single time it goes the exact same way.
To look. Like here's a PC-98 game that uses dithering so that when it appeared on older screens, it would be kind of a mix of the colors. Yeah, it's more of like, it looks smooth. Like a lot of old sprites look 3D when they're shown on correct screens. But when you see them properly crisp, it looks like shit. I remember thinking that Donkey Kong Country and Mario RPG had like, I thought that they had 3D sprites because of the way that they would appear on like screens back then. Because it did kind of have like a smoothing effect. I mean, obviously the Dracula picture. Let me get the Dracula picture because that's like the most...
Yeah, I know. This is the picture she wants to show. This is the one. I've seen this discussion so many times. I know every single point she's going to mention.
Famous one for showing like how stuff did. Here you go. Sorry, this is gigantic.
Oh, it's a different one. Oh, so it's no. Okay, so it's a picture of Behemoth, not of. It's not even the thing you said you were gonna show.
But it's like, it's a shame how much is like lost. How much of like the detail is lost because of the screens that we have today. Like having more fidelity has kind of ruined older games. And it's not as bad with like modern retro stuff, which that's why I think it's like people...
It's kind of like the where this goes back to is the same thing with vinyl people. It's not a matter of the games being ruined. It's tech has changed over the years and... No, I haven't seen this clip. I've just seen this Twitter thread show up every single time it shows up. Like there's nothing wrong with the CRT look, but a lot of people are under this presumption that games were never made to be pixel perfect, when that's the way the art was actually designed. Vinyl was warm, but digital was cooler in tone. You can do some fancy stuff if you want to mess around with some stuff. Get yourself a tube amp. But, like, if you actually look at the original pixel art, they were drawn to be pixel perfect. Like, that was the intended way for them to be displayed. It's just CRTs were able to display them in a different way that made that art appear... Like, the design techniques of the time were built around CRTs. That doesn't mean the art was never meant to be seen in a crisp way.
Look at modern retro style.
Also, the coloring of old CRTs is vastly different than modern displays as well.
Games, which are designed to look the way they do on modern, screens. But it was not like this with older games, and I don't think... It's like, you can tell with some stuff that it's not how they necessarily intended you to look at it. Yeah, depending on how many scan lines and stuff there are, like, things can be a lot different. I think a really good example of this is obviously Dracula from Castlevania.
Oh, there you go. There it is.
He looks fucking weird as hell on his actual proper crisp sprite, But when that same sprite was on, like, an older TV, there's kind of like a blending effect that was going on. Like, it looks 3D. I don't know. I think it's interesting. Like, this one's crazy. Look at that. That's crazy to me. How different that is. Oh yeah.
Also, you have to keep in mind that this is not what it would actually look like when you look at a CRT. Also, keep that in mind. Whenever people show these pictures, they are shown in the most extreme CRT line rendering as possible to, like, demonstrate the effect. If you look at it actually on a CRT display, it's not going to look like that.
Final Fantasy VII, I think, is also a pretty good example of, like, the sprites themselves look already really good, even today, but the smoothing effect made them look like painted portraits, in my opinion. Can I show this? This has a butt, but I think this one looks really, really good. I don't think it's too inappropriate. This one, it turns 3D. There's a butt. Watch out. Children, avert your eyes. But look at that huge, like, difference in how much detail there is lost. I don't know. Kind of sad. Okay, here's a Donkey Kong one.
So must have done shader. Yeah, that's what all of these pictures are. All of these pictures of how games looked on CRTs, almost all of them are like hyper shader effects. There's not actually a picture of the game from the display. It's like, this is a visual representation, and it makes it look entirely different. Or, like, this is another good example, right? What indies think arcades look like, what arcades actually look like. Arcades didn't look like this. Arcades didn't look like this at all. There were no games that were this blurry. That's just, like, this is just hyper overusing the shaders. Now, CRT does do an effect to the art. This is absolutely true. But people massively oversell it.
Look at him. He's so 3D. That's crazy. Rare is just fucking cracked. Rare's just insanely cracked. That's crazy. I really thought that this game was 3D back in the day. I really thought this game was 3D. Same happens with DOS and PS1 games on old monitors and old TVs. Games really take your brain, forcing your brain to imagine the gap between the limited graphics and patterns.
I think a lot of these people who are, like, super big on CRTs fixing all your problems, I think they actually need to see a game running on a CRT, because there is so much CRT cope out there. Like, it is actually some of the funniest thing. Like, if the CRT, like, gaming cult, I enjoy watching it. I really do.
Screen to create something fresh, yeah. Very, very different. I think Donkey Kong still looks 3D even without, like, being on the screen, though. But there's a lot I recommend, if you find that stuff cool, go look up, like, a lot of older sprites, how they look like on older monitors. It's super cool. It's super fun to see, especially a lot of old fighting games. Looked really nice.
Oh yeah, wait, no, here's the post. Wait, here is literally, yeah, okay, I fucking found the post. This is the thread. How old were you when you realized that retro pixel art aesthetic is based on a total lie and false nostalgia? Digital artists of 8 and 16-bit eras were drawing for a CRT on composite video. Their work is almost unrecognizable with crisp edges. So this image, this comparison, comes from this person. This is a CRT, like a big CRT person, but this is somebody who, like, actually understands what this space was. Another misinformation post used my photos without credit. Yes, 80s, 90s, and even 2000s games were designed for CRTs, knowing 99% of the consumers would be on RF or composite. Yes, devs accounted for it, but pixels existed on PC and arcade monitors, over RGB, and on handheld LCDs. Also, the Chrono Trigger example is a user submission that still gets circulated. One of my first posts, I vastly prefer my own version. There's nuance to this topic, but that doesn't do numbers. Appreciate the art, craftsmanship. Stop telling people they're enjoying it wrong or have false nostalgia. Many, myself included, even first experienced these games with sharp pixels. There's nothing wrong with that. Kinda wish I hadn't tweeted this at all, but it's hard feeling like words are put in your mouth over and over again. This stuff always comes back to my replies and relationships, so it matters to me. Anyway, this is all stupid. Log off and play some games, and here's a picture of a game actually on a CRT. Yeah, so this entire thing is a psyop from people who completely misunderstood a post about CRT and now just constantly sell it as this
King of Fighters.
CRTs are the solution to all gaming problems.
Yeah, look at that. Like the smoothness. Look at Kefka. Oh my god, he's fucking gigantic. Look at Kefka. How smaller the face details look. The details just become a lot smaller and precise. Super cool. A really high resolution, very low.
I do love this clip
though. Some amazing stuff. Yeah, you know, I'll just show it to you. It kind of hurts my eyes a little bit, but I think it's a really good example. Just like the dithering one. It's a bit dark, but the right is the actual sprites, and you can see how different they looked because of screens. But if you were to play this modernly, you know, it's like they're compensating for the lines. Oh wait, Chrono Trigger is a great example. Like the smoothness. It's just
It's literally the fake example. Let's go. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Holy shit. I've heard this argument so many fucking times. I can see every single point just a mile away. You will... It's the same argument every single
time. Stuff is so
time.
much more smooth looking. Like it's blended. But we've been psyoped into thinking the right is correct. It's not.
No, you've been psyoped into thinking the left was real.
The right is not correct, I think, in my opinion. I assume when they designed it back in the day, the left is...
Holy shit, she's actually gonna say it, isn't she? She's actually gonna say it.
What they intended it to look like. It looks bad. It looks weird because it's because of the colors, the contrast and stuff, it just looks like garbage in some places. But it's because it was going to be... Left might be correct, but only on that specific TV. Well, yeah, but overall, TV's
There's one shadow who has two fucking brain cells to rub together.
CRTs back then would have had more of a blurring effect. Every TV is going to look different back then. Every monitor is going to look different. There's going to be some variation, but it's still going to be overall closer to what the artist intended than, you know, a perfect, the perfect pixels of what we get today. I don't know. Just interesting, I think.
Oh, I love it. I love this. This is a beautiful clip. I love that so many people have been psyoped into thinking this. Someone tell her. Chessvid? Maybe we'll check that. Yeah, look, again, if you enjoy looking at games on CRT, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. However, pixels existed, and games were intended to be seen with pixels.